Hello crafty friends, I'm Lien from Studio Kato and I'm so happy to be back with another video. It's been a while I think, but this is a good one. I love how this card turned out. I recently got, well it's not so recent, but I haven't made a lot of cards with these yet. I got some Hello Bluebird stems. And this is a fairy garden. I am going to use a lot of images from this one. And I'm also going to use one image, I think, or maybe two, from this Garden Friends stem set as well. Both are by Hello Bluebird. They are adorable stems. These are a little older, I think, but they're still so cute. So I lined them all up on my paper and I'm going to stem them with my Misti and some Memento Tuxedo Black Ink, which is an alcohol marker friendly ink. I always use a cloth to rub over my Misti. It gives me a nicer impression. And then I started coloring and not recording. So you missed the first part of the coloring. But this was my first card with these Ohuhu markers and I am loving them. It's a little bit of an adjustment for me because these are brush nibs. They do blend easier because they are brush nibs. But it's harder for me to stay inside the lines with these, so it was an adventure, but I really loved it. Now I have since made 2 more cards with these, and I am trying to learn to put the caps of the markers somewhere so you can see the numbers. I didn't do it for this card, I'm really sorry, but I will link you to my Instagram post where I will always include all of the marker combinations used for the coloring on the card. I've made myself some swatch charts so I can keep track of my own combinations, and I figured it would be nice to include them in the Instagram posts. Now, I love the color range of these Ohuhu markers as well because there are quite a few muted colors in there, and I was missing that with my previous marker selection. There are still a lot of brights in there as well. You can see the red of those mushrooms. They really pop and I love that. But I also love that there's a muted pink like for the other toadstool and the snail as well. I'm also going to use some oranges for the fairies. And while I was coloring these images, I already had a background in mind and I already knew the rough placement of these images, and that does play in with my color choices. I wouldn't have made the fairy wings blue or light blue if that exact color was going to be in my sky background later. I knew my background color would probably be pink up there where the fairies are, so I didn't make their dresses pink, for example. Yeah, that definitely plays into my color choices. And that's it. I don't have much to say about that. Now, to finish these images off, you know I love my embossing powder, but it doesn't play well with the markers. So I am stamping it again. I had left all of the stamps in my Misti, and I'm stamping it again with Versafine Onyx Black Ink. Now you can leave it at that. That is a very intense black already, so that definitely cleans up those lines already. But I always like some glossy outlines with the embossing powder. I just used some clear gloss superfine embossing powder by Wow, and I heat set that with the Wow Dual Speed Heat Tool. Now my background, I am going to use some watercolor. And you can't see the pink yet that I promised for the sky background, but I am going to layer that on later. I really like a dusty pink sky, and I find it easier to achieve if I have some pale blue on there first. Now, for backgrounds, I much prefer ink blending or watercolor than alcohol markers. In fact, I have never made a background successfully with alcohol markers before because they're just really hard to do for some reason. But watercolors are so perfect for it. They blend nicely and the colors are paler as well. So the images, if you color them with your alcohol markers, will pop nicely against that background. And using the contrast between the 2 mediums can really help you with your card design. Now I'm using a sentiment from the Gallery Frame number 6 die set by Hello Bluebird. This is just a hello sentiment and I love it. It's so dainty. And I'm layering it up a couple layers. I think I used 3 layers of white and 1 layer of gold glitter cardstock. Now I adhered one of the layers onto some purple tape to keep it in place while I glue everything on. That definitely helps. And before I add the next layer, I always dab off the excess glue with a scrap piece of paper. I saved the negative space or got it back out of my bin, I don't remember, and I lined up the letters in there. I can then pick them up with purple tape. That'll keep them nicely adhered together, and that'll mean that I can just adhere all of these letters, all of that sentiment together on my card. It's going to make it a lot easier to line it up, and that's a really great trick to remember for dainty die cuts like that. I added some clear sparkle to my sky background, glued that onto my card base, and I also added a frame, which is actually the frame from the gallery frame number 6 die set from Hello Bluebird. Don't know if I got that name right, even if I just read it, but we'll see. I am adding all of the images. This did take me a while. I always like to lay them out before I glue everything on. So some of these are already adhered, some of them I'm just picking up again and adhering. I used a mixture of liquid glue, some foam tape to get different layers of dimension. So everything that is further in the back, I just adhered down with glue, and everything that is supposed to be more in the foreground, I added some foam tape underneath that. Now, I don't have matching dies for any of my Hello Bluebird stamp sets, and I just fussy cut this out. It does take some patience, and for these flowers, especially the bluebells, you might want to use a craft knife instead of scissors because they are quite dainty, and you might bend or even crease or rip the stems if you use scissors. So a craft knife is a lot easier to use there. I added some sparkle to the, I wanted to say butterfly, but they're fairies. I added some sparkle to the fairy wings, and then I'm adding that sentiment nice and easy with the purple tape. I'm also adding some bubbles to finish this off. These are from Pinkfresh Studio. They are called clear iridescent bubbles, but they are not in fact clear. I don't know why they're called that. They have a silver backing. They are gorgeous, but I just don't understand why they're called clear. And that finishes off my card. I really, really love it. And I love that contrast between the watercolor background, which is a little bit paler, and the bright images with the Ohuhu markers. So alcohol markers and watercolor can definitely be used on the same card, and just use them to their strengths. Watercolor is easier to blend and will give you a much softer result, so it's perfect for backgrounds, while alcohol markers are brighter and just so lovely for your foreground images to really set them apart from the background. I want to quickly mention that this card took me 2.5 hours or maybe even 3 hours to complete. Cards do take a while to make sometimes, especially if there are so many little images on there. I used to always tell you how long a card took just to give you a time frame. And I keep forgetting, so I will try to do my best to mention it in the upcoming videos. I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope you enjoyed the card. If you did, make sure to leave a thumbs up on this video and leave your thoughts in the comments below. I would love to read them. And you can also subscribe to my channel. I can promise you that there are a couple of changes coming to my channel that I think they're going to be great. I'm having a lot of fun with them either way, so it's already great for me. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope to see you next time.